What is up guys, Alex from Lakey Wargames here and welcome to today's video where today I want to talk about, for me personally, hitting a massive hobby reset button. Today's video structure is going to be a little bit different. There's going to be no editing, no fancy bits to be displayed on the screen, nothing like that. It will just be the thumbnail dragged across while I sort of rant away. So if you are hobbying, just carry on. This is just one more to listen to. There's going to be nothing really to watch. First off, I want to apologise for not uploading anything the last couple of weeks. You may have seen on the YouTube community page, or if you follow me on any of my socials or in the Lakey Wargames Discord, which are all linked down below if you wish to follow or join any of those. I've been a little bit sick the last few weeks, and it was really bad on like my throat and coughing and just all that general lovely nurgly fluey goodness, and I still am on the tail end of that, so if this chops, changes, cuts, or I cough like mid-sentence, I do apologise in advance. I'll try and get rid of as much of that as I can, but I am still on the tail end of that. But it was just really raspy, horrible voice, and yeah, you can't really voice over anything with that. Something I need to do next year is to make sure I have videos in my back pocket ready to upload that are ready to go, and be a few videos ahead of myself, so when real life steps in or I get sick, then I will still have content to put out. But I'm in that sort of new creative phase of I record a thing, I edit a thing, I get way too excited and I upload it straight away there and then, where really I need more of a structure, which is something that I plan to implement more going into next year. So yeah, we'll put that on the wish list for next year when we do an end of year, start of year video, one of those kind of things. But with all that said, let's get back to the main topic today, which is, why am I hitting a massive hobby reset button? And well, this is something I've been thinking about for probably the last sort of 4 to 6 months, I'd say, like seriously considering just moving off all of my hobby and pretty much starting again. What I'll do is I'll paint a little bit of a picture to you and then just see if this sounds familiar. So as I'm recording to this right now, I'm just sat at the desk talking away. Sat to the right of me, I have several different cases of really useful boxes, which are the big see-through tubs with the big clip-on lids, and that's what I use to store all of my armies in. Now I've got several of these big cases, and like I said, in there are my armies. Some of them are a bit of in a work in progress state. A lot of the models are built, ready to go. I've got like my NIGHTHAUNT in there, which is mainly painted. Things like my OBR, which is part painted, and I've got some full armies in there, like my Sylvaneth, etc. But there's also a lot of stuff in there that is just undercoated, half built, half painted. All of my current work in progress units for all of my different armies. Now, one thing that I do is when I personally paint and hobby is I have what I like to call really bad hobby ADHD, and I made a different video talking about that and how I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to jump between all of your different projects while painting. So rather than just sit down and paint a whole 2,000 point army in one go, because you know you might lose the enjoyment for it, if you pick 2 or 3 different projects and you're constantly hopping between the same 2 or 3 different projects on a long enough time scale, you will finish them, because at the end of the day, doing something to any of your projects is better than doing nothing to any of them. And that's something I still really strongly believe. Now, at the tail end of 2022, I started up my own small business, which I now do full-time, which is selling pre-painted models on eBay, and also taking on private commission works. So I do a lot of different hobbying for my work purposes now, which is great because I see different things coming through the door. For the eBay store, I get to pick and choose and paint different like one-off projects, and I can sell them on, which is great for sort of indulging in that ADHD side of my brain that just always wants to be doing something new, something different. And then every now and then I can flick back to my personal project, which will be, you know, consistently on a long enough time scale, I will have it finished. So that helps solve that problem for me. But one thing that really does get me down, and I've really pissed myself off this year, is because I have these several massive cases of different armies, there's so much stuff that I have going on, it really gets me down and it really puts me off doing my personal hobby. because it's at the point where it's almost overwhelming. Not only do I have these several massive cases sat to the right hand side of me, in the other room is what I call my work pile, which is fine. Again, that's stuff for the store or it's for commission stuff. which isn't too bad because I know it's not going to be there forever. I'll paint it up. I've got a few things, like, you know, I've always got a few different kits laying around, different things that I want to paint up, but I'll know that they'll be being moved on, so that pile is fine. But I also have a third pile up in the loft, which is a massive collection of just stuff I don't know what to do with. So not only do I have these several cases with different work in progress parts, like some of it's part built, part painted, but up in the loft I have just entire collections of things I don't even know what I'm doing with. There's like Warhammer Fantasy boxes up there that I've had for like 15-20 odd years. I've got like the Mortal Realms magazine collection is right up there, so there's like a whole NIGHTHAUNT and Stormcast army up in the loft, as well as the ones I have in the cases. And it's at that point of excess where it's like I know I don't need all of that stuff, because with these army collections they're not just sort of having 1 or 2 different 2,000 point armies, it's like having 5 or 6 different sort of 5,000 point armies, but none of them are finished. They're not 5,000 points of finished things, because my consistency levels is just off the charts bad. And I know that's completely on me, but just the change in circumstance of now doing sort of 10-12 hours a day of hobby for work means that in my spare time the last thing I want to do is then pill out my models and do those. Sometimes I do, but it's just great to be spending time with the family, watching a film, going outside, just doing something a little bit different, because at the end of the week when you've done 60 hours worth of hobbying, it's just nice to be doing something different. And now I have this big wall of personal models, which is already a massive pile, a massive task and stuff to get on with, but it's now just invoked and even bigger by the fact that I now have like less time to do them and less drive to actually finish them, because I'm already spending so much of my time hobbying for different things. Obviously being able to pay bills and grow a business and things is great, but yeah, it's just another kick to that big pile that I know I don't need. On top of all of that, the things that I have painted, if you guys are in my Discord or you follow my socials, you may have seen I've had a problem with the big paint brand that I switched to about 18 months ago. I'm not going to name names here because I don't want to be starting some sort of drama video just yet, but these paints that I've been using have been sort of defecting in a way, let's just put it that way, where models that I finished painting, whether it was 18 months ago or I start using them now, as soon as they start drying they go sort of like a chalky white, almost like it's been when you mess up varnishing a model and it goes that horrible chalkiness. It's just like that, but these are happening to models that aren't varnished. It's happening to models I painted 18 months ago, it's happening to models that I painted like last month. I don't use those paints for everything, thankfully, so not every single one of my models is completely destroyed just yet, but quite a lot of big chunk of my collection that I've been using these paints for are now starting to sort of chemically go off, is the best way that I can put it. I've tried many different things. I've spoken to a big Facebook group, spoken to many big professional painters, and between any of us, like, we've never seen anything like it before, so I'm just putting it down to sort of a one-off bad batch of big paints. But I bought a massive army set of those paints, like an entire like 60 paint range collection. Reached out to the company that I brought them off of, and they have been of absolutely no assistance and ignoring all of my messages for the last sort of 3 months that I've been trying to contact them. So I have now switched back to a different paint brand, and at the same time that was just like another nail in the coffin of just like, I just want to eject all of the personal hobby, just get rid of all of that excess models, get rid of all of that pressure of just all this stuff that I've accumulated over this time that I don't really need. I don't have the same time anymore as well to play several different armies proficiently as I did a couple of years ago, sort of pre-COVID. I'd have the free time to play sort of 3-4 times a week, and that was great because then rotating between all the different armies was fine. But now it's kind of one of those, I might play once every 2 weeks on average, you know, once a week if I'm lucky, and then the odd event here or there, something that I do want to expand on a little more next year. But just with the business and growing things and just real life, it's just realistically having those sort of 6-7 different armies at such a high points level, it's just pointless almost just having them. It's just one of those, they're just sitting around in boxes collecting dust. I'm realistically not going to get the time to use them, so I think it's time to jettison them off into new homes and have people be able to enjoy them and the models see the light of day, and, you know, be able to be used by people that are actually going to be able to put the time into enjoying them and using them for their intended purpose. And then once I started having that paint issue, it's one of those things where it's just like I'm now in the process of fixing all of my models. Touch-ups here and there, it was rebuying into a different paint brand and then being able to retouch up all of these models, which is just sort of more time, more thing that I didn't want to have to do. But going forward, it's fine because I've got the new paints that I've replaced them with. I've actually gone back to Citadel paints, so spoiler alert, it wasn't Citadel, that was rubbish. But I've gone back to just Citadel paints for now, and I'll be avoiding that other company like the plague, just because the poor customer service I have received alongside the no good paints. So big problem was with the paint issues that has now caused me to sort of have to repaint all these different things, and every time I look at them it just really bugs me. And then I've also got this massive pile of just stuff and all of these collections and things, and I just think I really want to just bin it all off, go back to square one. And then it's the age-old thing that everyone takes the mick out of you for, but it's like, just want to buy one, paint one, or buy one, build one, paint one, finish it, then buy the next one. And it's one of those, isn't it? It's always the joke of like, no one believes any hobbyist can ever do it, ever. But that's what I think I'm going to be doing for next year. I say I think. I've pretty much decided it at this point by putting this video out. Like I said, it's just something, if I say it out loud, someone else hears it, then you can hold me accountable for not going out and just buying armies and armies and armies of boxes of stuff and then not doing them, because I can still get that hobby bounce fix from doing the work models and the commissions, and then my personal project I can actually just sit down and be like, nope, you're going to buy the box and you're not buying another box until you finish the thing and just build the collection back from square one. And then at that point, if I do manage to build up the several boxes of collections, it will actually just be finished stuff, not just bits of it here and there and different armies and different things and different games. It would actually be all finished, which wouldn't be so much of a problem, because then it would be that need of like the personal things that be like my NIGHTHAUNT, where I've collected them and painted them for so long. It's like I just don't need any more NIGHTHAUNT stuff. I've got enough bits of each one, duplicates of all the units, all the characters, that kind of thing. Like, you just don't need any more, and that's fine, because now they're just there, it's complete, you can take them out, play them, done. And then I can go back to focusing on building the sort of the business stuff, and I'm still hobbying and painting for that, so it scratches that itch of actually doing hobby. But on a personal collection note, it's like it's done. And all these other armies that I've started, it's just really dragging and just down. So we're going to be hitting that massive hobby reset button, I think, on a personal level. And yeah, if it's something that you've been thinking about doing, or you have the same thing where your massive pile of shame, pile of potential, whichever way you want to put it, is something that's really putting you down and it stops you hobbying more than you would actually just do, I would probably recommend just doing the same thing. Just bite the bullet, get rid of it, get rid of that, clean slate your conscience, go into the next year just nice and smooth. And again, like I said at the start of this video, it's one of those, I didn't really have a structure for this, I'm just talking off the top of my head. But yeah, between the paint issues that I've had, and then between self-stressing and just feeling guilty about not being able to sort of service all of these several different armies, and I want to go back to being really proficient in just playing, whereas like I said, play once every 2 weeks, every week, just having a couple of armies, maybe in a couple of systems. So I might just have one Age of Sigmar army, one 40k army, one side game, whether that be like Lord of the Rings, Blood Bowl, Necromunda, and just be really good at those armies, be like an expert in those armies, as well as obviously have the knowledge of all the others from knowing the game but not physically playing that army. It feels good. I had a couple of discussions about this with a close friend of mine, King of Rust on Instagram. You may have heard in a few different videos, I've mentioned him before, about doing that sort of thing, jettisoning off all of the models. And it's one of those things people say you'll regret selling off models, but like I said, I've been thinking about this for about, longer than 6 months, but the last 6 months I've been really serious about doing it, because it's just that time post-COVID just hasn't given me the time to really be able to appreciate having that many models. And now it just stresses me out every time I look at them, and I think it's just never going to get to where I want it to be done, and then it just ruins sort of my hobby goals, it ruins my inspiration, and it just makes me all go downhill from there. So that is why we're going to be hitting the massive hobby reset button. We've got the new paints for the new year, we've got all the new tools, and then we can just start with a clean slate, fix the old ones. They're going to go on the store, and then yeah, from my personal state, I'll turn to my right, I'll look at those cases, and the only things in those cases will be the one unit I'm working on, one model, one unit, whatever, and everything else in those cases will be finished. And there'll be no more there'll be no more bits of stuff everywhere, and it's just, yeah, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's self-invoked. But yeah, I'm going to be hitting that massive hobby reset button, as well as obviously putting in all of the effort here on the channel. You know, we've got the general Wargaming Tactics series coming up with all the new fancy graphics and things that I'm working on, and all of that good stuff. So it's like on a personal level, it'll be a nice clean slate with only finished projects going, and then on a sort of YouTube content creator side, we'll have all the new stuff coming out, and then obviously the business stuff side of it will just be that kind of fix for me of being able to do something different when I'm not doing personal hobby, and it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. And I'm going to be sharing a lot more stuff here on the channel, lots more Let's Builds, like we just started off with the Dark Denizens of Mirkwood stuff. Going to be finishing those off, and yeah, the projects that I do take on, then we can do more. We're going to be doing more tutorials and that sort of thing, and focusing on that side of the hobby, and it's just going to be an all-round good time. And when I first started saying that I wanted to jettison them off and start again almost, it just, yeah, it feels like a massive weight taken off my shoulders, and I feel it again now talking about it, even though I'm just talking to my computer screen. Obviously I'm talking to you guys by the time it's uploaded, but as of right now, just saying it out loud and being like, nope, that's what we're going to do. And it feels really good, and yeah, I'm very, very excited for that and what it might entail and what it's going to be becoming of it. And this video has gone on way longer, and I've rambled and probably put all of you to sleep if you are not already clicked off this video. But yeah, thank you very much for listening to my sort of rambles and wanes, and if you find yourself in a similar situation, then I would, yeah, just have that serious conversation with yourself and just set those realistic goals. You know, this hobby is something that we should be enjoying and not pressuring ourselves into doing this. There's no right or wrong way or pace to set yourself for the hobby, as long as you are enjoying it. And again, this is all my personal experience, and it doesn't mean that if you've got the picture that I painted, if you have the same sort of storage situation, it doesn't mean you have to sell all your stuff off if you enjoy doing it that way and having a nice sort of repertoire of models to pull your next project from. Then that is also kind of a cool thing if that personally works for you. But yeah, I've had a lot of stress with the paint situation and a lot of stress with the personal models, as well as lifting the business and doing that kind of thing. So we're going to hit that massive reset button, and next year we're going to do it right. And it's yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited for it, and I can't wait to share this journey more with you guys. But thank you very much for listening to my rambles. I hope you all stay safe, and as always, happy wargaming.